Hey everybody, welcome to our series Week in Review. This is for the week of November 26th. This is the final week of actual hard training for Alyssa Ritchie before she kind of tapers going into the American Open final. In addition to that, we've got Brielle Atkin, a newer lifter, and you'll see some of the stuff we're working on with her. You're going to see some James Townsend in here, in addition to Janice Sakamoto. So go ahead and check it out. If there's some tidbits or things you like, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Here's Janice Sakamoto. She had some snatch work today. What you can see, the big things we're working on are her shoulder position, getting that bar behind her head so that it ends up back behind her head with her head through and her chest and back neutral. You saw she did a pretty good job there getting those to come around for her, but something we've been working on a lot with her. Later she had some block cleans. The big thing we've worked on here is keeping the bar really close to her thighs and getting rid of that hitch, and these actually are really, really sharp for her. They're really good. She kept that bar right next to her legs on the pull. There's no kind of moving outward and letting the bar kind of drift in front and then pausing. Clean pulls again, reinforcing that same thing. She does a good job making sure that those are done close to her thigh. Great exercise that we do a lot of are various jerks. This is a jerk from behind the neck. She does a couple things that are really good here. One is you can see that her elbows are down under the bar when she sets up. She drives the bar and initiates the push with her arms about halfway up that drive, which really helps to reinforce the use of her arms, getting the bar up there. This is another good exercise as well because it teaches her to push the bar back behind her head and get her head through, which is the same issue she has in the snatch, receiving that bar overhead in the right position. Now, obviously, as the sets are going on, you can see she's kind of, getting a little bit forward on those. Something that we'd like to kind of eliminate, but it's still there. Something we're always working at. One thing to remember when you're coaching people is that you're not always going to get perfect results. Your goal is to get what you want out of it, get the training objectives taken care of, and get as close to that as possible. And if you're, having a few reps here and there that are not flawless or not perfect, it's okay as long as the intent is there and that the constant efforts to improve exist. Janice just had some other accessory stuff. Some weighted dips and some box jumps. A lot of that's just to keep some athleticism and then also to develop some kind of strength in certain positions. Obviously the triceps and shoulders need to be strong. This is a good exercise to press from the split. Janice just gets into a split position here and presses the bar overhead. This is a great exercise to be done on lighter days where technique is going to be more of an emphasis just because she's, yesterday trained really hard. Nothing special here, nothing magical, just pushing the bar back behind the head, spending more time in those positions. You'll notice that her back is not hyperextended, she's not arched here too much, and she's getting the bar where it belongs. That's the key, is to sort of build the foundation with these basic exercises, then work on some other stuff, some other drills here. This is just some really light training practice where she's working on dropping right into the position without the drive, and then work on maintaining that position catching that position in a fast movement like she would in the jerk. Here's another lifter of ours, Brielle Atkins. She's coming around. We've been working with her a lot. One thing you'll notice on the snatch here, and you'll see on the cleans later, the thing we're working on mainly with Brielle is developing more power out of her legs and extremities. So you can see that she gets great power off her hips, which is really, really nice and necessary, but not really getting a ton of use out of her legs. So that bar hits her hip in the snatch or the clean, and it kind of deflects off of the hip and shoots up, and there's a lot of power and speed, but there's not a great vertical component to her pulls, and that's something we've worked on a lot. The first way we're doing that, right here, obviously, front squatting, back squatting, we're working a lot on developing leg strength, and then in addition to that, exercises that slow down the pull and force her to use her legs. So snatches with a pause in the middle and cleans with a pause in the middle. Both of those really put a constraint on the lift that forces you to have to push again with your legs. You can't really generate a lot of speed from the floor because you have to stop. And when you have to stop, you're forced to then start the movement again with your legs. Again, some pulling movements. Those pulling movements are done, just like we would for everybody. We always want to be working on overloading the pull to some degree, not necessarily anything specific to her leg use issue. You can see her later in the week. She's got some series of snatches, and you can see where she's doing a little better job on these, getting her legs into the movement. The bar's going up a lot more. She's going more vertical at the top. There's not such a kick and drop under. That was a really good clean here. And ideally, again, like we talked about with Janice, the goal is to get her legs working more in the lift. The other goal is to be a weightlifter and compete. So we don't just break everything down and do nothing, no competition, no heavy lifts, working on the technique. We do as much as we can to develop those. That was a good clean there. You could see where she didn't get the greatest acceleration off her legs, didn't drive the bar very hard off her legs or at the explosion, and ended up, the bar kind of coming down on her a little bit much. Much better rep here. Again, though, you can really see that main focus that needs to be on developing more extension from the thighs, more power from the legs. Here we've got James. James is a really unique individual in that he's just incredibly powerful and strong. These are just a couple of lifts of his. We do a lot of lifts with him, no hook, no feet, and then also no contact lifts. Those exercises really help to get him to straighten out his pull a lot. In addition to that, he does a lot of stuff off blocks because it's a little bit better position for him to get into, so he can get a good extension at the top. He has a tendency to just bend his arms and pull the bar into his hips, and ultimately that ends up kicking it forward. And the main goal with him is getting that bar to go straight. You can see here just how powerful James is. His best power clean is about 193 kilos without a hook grip. So he's just super, super powerful. Main goal for him is all trajectory stuff. Keep him in place, get the bar to go where you want it, and not have the bar swing out on him. This is Alyssa. She's preparing here. This is her last week preparing for the American Open Finals in Milwaukee. She's just doing some complex work here. We aren't really doing any heavy clean and jerks going into the meet. This is 95 for a complex of 2+1. She did a lot of this stuff. She's done a lot of volume. Overall, the last couple weeks going into the meet, her volume and her intensity has climbed up slightly. So her average intensity for the last 3 weeks going into this meet were approximately 84% or so. So really high on that scale. Her total volume was pretty high as well. The main reason we did that is because we're trying to peak her for this meet so she can have a great performance there and score the Roby points she needs to get onto the Pan Am teams without having to do another qualifier. So this is kind of a do or die, go for broke meet for her, and she's done a great job acclimating to all this volume. I don't think she's done a single in the clean and jerk this entire last month. And everything has been multiple cleans with jerks, multiple cleans, multiple jerks, and 95 for her is looking really, really solid. So we expect to see some really good lifts. The end of the week, she ended up doing some block snatches, working up to 80 kilos for 3 singles. In the snatch, we're going to take a little bit more attempts at heavy singles, or we're going to do a little more heavy singles in general, just because the absolute weight isn't so heavy. So you can see her here. She's practicing a lot, getting her legs into the top of the pull. That was probably her best rep overall. Doing a great job there. And then at the end of the week, I put this video last because this was actually on Monday before those clean and jerks. But this is an example of her doing some snatches off the floor. She had a great day here, worked up to a PR snatch. This is 80 right here. Very, very solid. We've worked a lot on her catching the weight lower and getting stable in the bottom. This is 84. This is a PR. Huge jump for her as well to go from 80 to 84. Really even to go from 75 to 84, 75 to 80 to 84. And then she took a shot at 86. And I'm kind of glad she did. It's always one of those things as a coach. You don't want someone to miss, but it's always good for someone to push themselves outside their comfort zone. That one was a little bit soft. She got a little bit early on that, probably a little fatigued from the last attempt. And not necessarily the cleanest lift, but the last one was pretty solid. So good day for her, good week for everybody. Hopefully you guys liked the video. If you enjoy this series, go ahead and check out our other videos on YouTube. If you're interested in remote coaching or any of the educational products we have, check us out at jtsstrength.com or follow us on Instagram at Juggernaut Training Systems. Thanks for watching.